huwezi kukula ile ambaye hujapanda. Tunaelewana? Huwezi. Jameni.
Yeah, President Uhuru Kenyatta basically saying, huwezi kula ile ambayo hujapanda. At some point I remember that very day he said, mimi sina pesa. Yeah, so basically we're not doing very well. It's an argument that county governments have refused to buy as we speak. So this evening we're looking at that delegation that was sent by the Kenyan government to the US to attend a conference. We sent a delegation of 90, the biggest across the world. Our neighbors, Uganda, just sent 3. And it's a conversation we're having with Professor Alfred Omenya, who's a governance policy analyst. We're also speaking to Irene Otieno, National Taxpayers Association, and we're looking at that delegation that was sent. So John Mbadi, who's the leader of minority in the National Assembly, is watching this, and he says, I did not travel. Why are you saying majority and minority? If majority and minority of the Senate, then specify. So yes, I will specify to just the people who traveled, the specifics. We had speakers of both houses, Justin Muturi, National Assembly, Ken Lusaka, the Senate. Majority and minority leaders, we had Kipchumba Murkomen, Senate Majority Leader, James Orengo, Senate Minority Leader, and Cleophas Malala, Senate Deputy Minority Leader. But in the same breath, I wish Mbadi could just weigh into this conversation as well and let us know the rationale behind it. Yes, not all 90 were from the National Assembly, but the fact that you had about 20, then that also raises eyebrows. But let's continue with this conversation. Irene, so listening into President Uhuru Kenyatta when there was that back and forth between the National Assembly and county governments, basically saying we do not have money, and looking at what is happening within the National Assembly and the fact that we sent over 90. So let me tell you why this is a concern. The Commission on Revenue Allocation stipulates that speakers of parliament are paid about 75,000 as daily subsistence allowance for travel to the US. MPs pocket 65,000. MCAs have 42,600. So a round-trip business class ticket on the national carrier, that is Kenya Airways, will cost you about 587,000 from Nairobi to Nashville International Airport, and about 355,000 for economy class. So looking at austerity measures, and you are from the Taxpayers Association, do you get the feeling that this is a government that is serious about austerity measures?
Linda, by the figures you've given, clearly this is a government that is not serious about austerity measures. And what I've always had problems when you mention austerity measures, it seems it's austerity measures to a few, the general, not the political class, but the political class, the austerity measures do not touch them. So that is a key concern for me. And Linda, also when you look at our minimum wage as a country, the same government says the minimum wage is 13,745 thereabouts. So just look at that round trip you've given. It might take one other Kenyan a whole year of working every month just to be able to foot that one elected member's round trip. So what are we looking at in terms of a country, in terms of equality, equity, looking at our poverty level? So this conversation, as our leaders use the money that is obviously taxpayers, let us look at it with that reality. Look at our minimum wage, look at the reality of the other citizens. And Linda, the other concern for me also would be, like what the controller of budget has mentioned, yes, this amount was used, but where then do we stop? Is it money that we can be able to get back? If it's taxpayers' money, as you've clearly enumerated, has been wasted, how do we as taxpayers get that money back? Who's the accounting officer that approved such a trip and approved these specific members to go? So the buck should stop somewhere. We need to know who that accounting officer was. What was the rationale? Because clearly there is no rationale looking at 90 people and looking at other partners. So Linda, just listening to even the conversation we've had as a country recently, the devolved unit saying that they need more resources, the national government saying that they have no resources, but this action right now from the National Assembly, you would see why there is a push and shove by the counties. Their view is that there is money, because clearly there is money for pampering their every other wimp and what they want, but when you're talking about money for development, and remember, Linda, I've been here previously, and I do not hold brief for counties because they've also been wasting a lot of the resources that go to them. But when you look at it in this angle right now, National Assembly and national level cannot tell us that there is no resource to go down to the counties, because this is the type of wastage. And the county, through the COG, have come out clearly to say there has been a lot of focus on the wastage at county level, but there is equally a lot of wastage at national. And this is a typical clear example that indeed we must keep our eyes on both. Not both county is wasting and national level is wasting. So what the citizens then clearly can see that devolution itself does not mean services will come to them. Devolution does not mean a better life for me and you. What would make the difference is what we as citizens and the people who fund that system make our voice known. And I hope with this we will not just leave it as citizens, as a conversation we've had in the media houses, a conversation that the National Assembly has refuted. The people who fund this system must really push for answers and accountability on this one.
I remember in that conversation about division of revenue came in, the certain leaders from the National Assembly said, guys, we do not have money. So coming from a house that says we do not have money, and then you're being told you have 19, not specifically all of them from the National Assembly, but the fact that even past 20 or 15 of them went to attend a legislative conference in the US, it doesn't even make sense. And as we speak right now, it's so sad that counties are grinding to a halt. Several governors are saying, we do not have money, we cannot operate as we speak. Professor Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister, says, and I quote, these institutions have money they do not know what to do with, or they simply do not care about the burden that the taxpayers are bearing. Have we gotten to a point where perhaps we have leaders who are oblivious of the reality on the ground and what Kenyans are going through?
Yes, Linda. I think the context that this is happening is very unfortunate. I mean, as we're talking today, there are riots all over the country from county government workers. They've not been paid to date because counties are saying they have no money. Some of these are people offering essential services, for example, nurses. In many counties, they've not been paid until now. Okuru Aukot and his referendum question is saying, look here, we have a big burden. The president is saying we don't have money for the counties. We don't have money for development. We are sinking in debt. Today, I mean, if you read Business Daily, we had thousands of workers who are actually, sent home because companies are basically collapsing and closing. So this is a grim time for our country, and the least you'd expect from our leaders is to demonstrate some empathy with the citizen. Imagine what a nurse feels outside there when you're being told that somebody is in the US doing I don't know what and is earning 75,000 per day, and you and your children and trying to protect life there, you're being told that, sorry, we actually don't have money, government is broke. Yeah, so if you're talking about responsible leadership and leading from the front, I think Parliament has totally failed us on this one, honestly. Yeah, this is the wrong time for those trips. In fact, one of the things that we're discussing with Irene here, I mean, I did go to the website. I was concerned about this thing. I went to the website of this particular conference. All the information is available. The fellows would have sat in Nairobi and they would have gotten all the information. And I know these guys, we've been with them on trips. They land there and they go shopping. They never attend those things. But in any event, getting 90 observers as other people are running the country, and meanwhile, you cannot pay your nurses. Meanwhile, government is saying we have no money for development. Meanwhile, you are sinking in debt. Honestly, is that a way of projecting the integrity of this institution? Is it a way of showing respect for your citizens? Is it a way of demonstrating frugality in a time when the country is actually suffering? Everybody is suffering. From private sector, every single taxpayer is actually suffering. I think Parliament needs to apologize to this nation for this nonsense of a trip, honestly.
Raila Odinga has actually said, yes, these people need to apologize to the nation. Irene, finally, because you get to have the final word in this, Kaluma said it is not just the national government, and it's not just the National Assembly, and yes, it's not just the National Assembly. We've had several reports of MCAs in different counties traveling all over on benchmarking missions. Raila Odinga at the beginning of this said, you have people who are tired of even seeing Kenyans. So basically, it's a cross-board. It's not just the National Assembly, it's in the counties. So one would get frustrated and just say, basically, it's the caliber of leaders that we have across board. And I know you mentioned the recall clause, but as a taxpayer, what options are there when you see your leaders doing this? You feel almost frustrated that perhaps there is very little you can do, or maybe there could be something you can do.
Thanks, Linda. The feeling of frustration is there, and I think for most taxpayers, as I am one of them, is that we feel a lot disempowered. But we are not. And I'm thinking, Linda, a very crucial time is the passing of that finance bill. As taxpayers, that is an opportunity that we should not let pass. We must occupy that parliament and have this conversation that taxation in Kenya is no longer tenable. What are we being taxed for? So service delivery of pampering the political class. So I view, and my call to the taxpayers is the passing of that finance bill. If at all it must pass on terms that have been negotiated by taxpayers. Secondly, Linda, if you allow, with a country that boasts about internet penetration, mobile penetration, why don't these members of parliament lead from the front and stream online, watch such conferences? Why must we pay for such useless kind of trips? So for me, Linda, is taxpayers must take it up very seriously, and to the unions particularly. I have seen KMPDU, I have seen NAT complain about the terms of being offered to their members. But this is such an opportunity, and they should be at the forefront of raising, because this is money that would have gone to some of their members, but this is money that is going to fund this other class. So when KMPDU is holding the government hostage, this would be a time to hold them hostage, because we are seeing an area of wastage that would alternatively have been shifted to satisfy their needs. So, and lastly, Linda, if you allow, the Council of Governors, I looked at the march they had last time. I totally did not support that march, because I know the corruption that COG and its members have perpetuated. But this is an opportunity that COG should march to that National Assembly, if it's not about self-interest, because I view the last march as a self-interest. But for this one, they should lead as COG, and with the taxpayers solidly behind them, demanding that the National Assembly that passes finance bills and then allows taxation on the people must tax people for service delivery and not for their whims and their personal gratification.
So you both agree that for that conference that was held in the United States, Tennessee conference that was targeting state legislators, legislative staff, government officials, business representatives, educators, and others, there was no need of Kenya sending 90 people, 90 delegates. So yes, just listening into both of you, Kaluma totally disagrees. He says, let's wait for the report. I mean, and it's not just the National Assembly. So in agreement, there was no point of sending speakers of both houses, Justin Muturi, Ken Lusaka, Senate. There was no point of having minority and majority leaders, Kipchumba Murkomen, James Orengo, Cleophas Malala. The Parliamentary Service Commission had Naomi Shaban, Samuel Chepkonga, Aisha Katana, Lona Mumelo. There was no point of sending 8 senators. We sent 8 senators. There was no point of sending 14 members of the National Assembly. And of course, the list also includes county assembly speakers, county assembly staff, as well as the county assemblies forum. So this has been the big story. Thank you so much for watching. All in agreement. There was no point of having 90 delegates. Omenya says, Professor Omenya says, stream this thing live. You don't have to send 90 people all the way to the US. Professor Alfred Omenya, governance policy analyst, thank you for your time this evening. Irene Otieno, National Taxpayers Association. A big thank you as well to Peter Kaluma, who spoke to our lead reporter, Sophia Wanuna Amlinda Ogutu.